Guys, Dr. Justin Marchegiani here. We're going to be talking about the top 3 autoimmune mistakes. These are the mistakes that I see that can exacerbate a patient's autoimmune condition. So we're going to dive into this topic. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Love to see your comments down below on the topic. All right, so autoimmune conditions, very important. Most autoimmune conditions, especially thyroid, some gut ones, depending on how bad of shape you are in, whether it's like MS or Parkinson's, most autoimmune drugs like methotrexate or different biologics that block TNF alpha or different immunological stimulation or breakdown, they have a lot of side effects. And so for like thyroid, the one that I see the most in my patients in office, they don't really prescribe medications for most thyroid issue because the drugs tend to be worse than the condition. But the major tool that most medical doctors have in their back pocket for autoimmune condition, steroids, prednisone, immunosuppressant, biologics. So not a lot of great options because a lot of side effects, and you're not really getting to the root underlying issue. I had Terry Walls on my podcast. We talked about MS and kind of the approaches for MS and her kind of approach to getting herself healed. So she was out of a wheelchair walking. We'll take some of those principles and add them into today's video. I mean, the first thing out of the gate that most conventional MDs don't look at, they do not look at food. They don't look at diets. And diet plays a major role because the more you drive inflammation, the more you're causing breakdown of your tissue in your body. So let's say you have an autoimmune joint issue like rheumatoid arthritis or some kind of an autoimmune connective tissue issue like lupus. Well, guess what? That inflammation breakdown is there and is present. That's part of the reason why you're tired, you're achy. Yeah, it's really easy to feel sore because your muscles are so sensitive, your connective tissue, your organs. And so we have to have a good anti-inflammatory, nutrient-dense, low-toxin diet. So the food plays a major role, especially gluten, flours, grains. These are going to be so inflammatory and they're going to drive inflammation. And you're also not adding in the nutrients to run your metabolic pathways. So the first element is you're driving inflammation. Gluten is a major stimulator of gut permeability. Even if you can tolerate gluten, there's still studies with non-celiac gluten sensitive individuals where they still see increase in gut permeability. And so when you have more permeable gut, different foods or bacteria that you're eating, and the different LPS from that bacteria that's in your gut may slip into the bloodstream and then provoke an immune response. And so gluten has very different surface proteins on there that look very similar to the thyroid, for instance. And so you can provoke autoimmune responses with gluten. Gluten is connected over 100 different autoimmune conditions. So gluten can be a major driver, partly through the gut permeability mechanism. And the more permeable you make your gut, it increases your chance of your immune system tagging other surface proteins and causing more breakdown. So that's the big one would be gluten and the foods, not just gluten and grains in general, but also the overall drive of inflammation and the nutrient density issue. Next would be overall gut health. Gut health plays a major role because if you're not digesting or breaking things down, or if you have lots of dysbiosis, you're going to have dysbiotic bacteria that primarily are gram negative. So gram negative bacteria notoriously have 2 cell walls. The outer cell wall is an endotoxin or lipopolysaccharide cell wall. That's actually very toxic and it can increase gut permeability. When that LPS or lipopolysaccharide gets into the bloodstream, right, it can go to the brain and create brain fog. It can also create other inflammatory issues in the body, other energy issues. And so when you have gut distress, that is going to cause or more digestive issues from dysbiosis, bad bacteria. These could be like from Citrobacter, Klebsiella, Pseudomonas, Morgadella. These are bad bugs. And when these bad bugs go up, it impacts digestion and absorption. It increases gut permeability, kind of like the gluten thing I mentioned a minute ago. So you have gut permeability. It's going to make it harder to have good enzymes and acids and bile salt levels. So we're not going to be able to break down those good proteins, those good fats, have good absorption of a lot of the nutrients. And again, some of these bugs can stimulate autoimmune conditions. So with gut health issues, we have this leaky gut mechanism that's always sitting in the background. We have different bugs, like I talked about, these dysbiotic gram-negative bacteria. But we could throw in there H. pylori. We could throw in there Blastocystis hominis. We could throw in there Cryptosporidium, Giardia, H. pylori, maybe Candida fungal overgrowth or SIBO or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth or just general dysbiosis. These can all be the stressors in our stress bucket that could be increasing gut permeability, dumping off toxins, and stressing out our body and our livers too. We could throw Lyme or Lyme co-infections into that mix as well. And third would be toxins. Now, these toxins could run the gamut from mold toxins I see patients in very moist environments, wet environments, either high humidity or just not having good air filtration to filter out dust and particulate, allowing mold to grow at a more subclinical level. And some may be at more of an acute level where they just did not get professional help getting remediation from different water leaks in their home, and they could have toxic mold or mycotoxins. Mycotoxins are the off-gassing or the farts of the mold. And so these mycotoxins can actually be worse than the molds in general. So aspergillus, for instance, can spit off 300 different mycotoxins. So I would say mold can be a big thing. So you have to look at the environment, maybe even test your own mold levels. We can throw metals into there too. We could throw pesticides. We could throw heavy metals as well, like aluminum, cadmium, mercury, lead. Heavy metals will be a big deal. Again, pesticides are going to be a big deal. Now, what are the big vectors of these things? It's going to be in your food. It's going to be in your water. Eat organic. Get a good reverse osmosis water filter to clean the junk out of your water. Again, mold, we're going to want to look at your environment, look at your home, and also potentially look at a urinary challenge test. Most people will run mold tests, but they will not do a urinary challenge. They won't do NAC or glutathione or a sauna session side by side to push and provoke that so we can actually see the mold. So we may want to look at mold. We may want to look at heavy metal provocation tests as well to see where your metal levels are at. Got to provoke that. And we could even look at pesticide levels. Again, I just assume it because we live in a world where not everyone's eating organic. So if you have that history, we may want to just assume it, or we can actually do urine testing to look at that as well. That's definitely an option too. So you really want to look deeper. So if we kind of go back to the beginning, gluten's a big one. According to Alessio Fasano at Harvard, he's a gastroenterologist from Italy. Gluten is one of the biggest provokers or stimulators of autoimmune or leaky gut permeability issues. Again, gut permeability, I think, is the biggest mechanism. And I would say everything else can drive it as well. Second will be gut health as well. So gut health from a digestion standpoint, from a microbial standpoint, I would say from an absorption standpoint. And then number three will be toxins. So this could be mold, this could be heavy metals, this could be various pesticides, or even put microplastics or xenotoxins or pesticides from foods, from plastics. So we could put our bisphenol A, our phthalates, our different microplastic compounds, our different pesticides and herbicides. We could throw Roundup in there. We could throw our metals, lead, arsenic, cadmium, aluminum, mercury. Those are going to be key out of the gates. And then, of course, our mold mycotoxins. It's going to be a big one out of the gates. So my favorite test, again, will be looking at a plate test for mold. We look at organic acids to get a window into some of these mold toxins in the urine, or urinary mold challenge test. And then we would also run different provocation tests for heavy metals. And we would look at different provocation tests for various pesticides or microplastics as well. All right, guys, if you enjoyed today's video, please let me know. Let me know in the comments. Appreciate it. And again, you guys have an awesome day. If you want to dive in deeper and get your levels looked at, or look deeper at the big issues that could be provoking your autoimmunity, click down below. There'll be a link where you can schedule and reach out to my team and staff. We're happy to dive in deep. We see patients worldwide on the functional medicine side. And again, get your thyroid looked at, get your ANA looked at, get your inflammation markers looked at. These are other good things to look at side by side to see how inflamed, or to see if your tissue is already more on that autoimmune path, if you will. All right, guys, links down below if you want to reach out. Have an awesome day. Take care. Bye.